are at Air Cargo India Exhibition and Conference, and with me is Christopher Storch, a global head of sales, va-Q-tec. Christopher, it's a pleasure to have you join us for this interview.
Thanks, Reggie.
Earlier this year, you opened India as one of your new market operations, along with Brazil and I believe China.
That is correct.
And tell us what was the reason why you looked at India and why did it take so long to open India office?
I need to confess, India is very close to my heart. I love the country. I know it for more than 4 decades, and I've been fighting indeed quite long and hard to make this happen and have a legal entity, a subsidiary of va-Q-tec in India to serve within the market with a local team, with a legal entity on site. It's been a stretch, it's been a challenge over the last few years. Pandemic has not helped to move this ahead faster, so that slowed us a little bit down, but we're there now. We have the entity, we have the office, we have a local team, and we can give support to the customers on the ground. India is a vast country. It's a huge nation. It's very, very challenging from its infrastructural point of view, from the climatic perspective. I think there is good need for high-performance thermal packaging solutions, and we try to give our share to improve temperature control logistics in the country, both domestically as well as internationally then.
You could also talk about the other 2 legal entities that you opened this year.
Yeah, that is Brazil and China, as you mentioned very rightly. Also 2 countries that are very challenging, both in their size, in their climatic conditions. Both countries as well where high-performance thermal packaging solution has not made its entry yet. So similar to India, challenging in a sense also to market the products. It's high quality, high performance solutions coming with a certain price tag for which we have to find some smart business solutions to make it also affordable to use it. So that is the common aspect of Brazil, India and China. Big markets, future markets, huge potential, but with this price sensitivity for which we have to have the right packaging solution, but also the smart business model to apply the solutions in the market.
Interestingly, you got someone who was your customer as the new MD for India, Ravi Kumar. How significant is that, and what's the plan for India specifically?
Well, it's very critical and very crucial for our future success. We have always been strongly believing in driving local business with local people. There is maybe some initial support in setting up a legal entity in a country like India, but the business needs to be done on ground with local people. It's great to have Ravi Kumar with us, with all his experience from the shipper side, with Teva, Intas, Dr. Reddy's experience, with having his network that will surely be of good help for us, connecting us to our peers on the farmer shipper side, but also on the freight forwarders and airline side. It's all these different parties we're dealing with and we have to have together in order to make this business a success. Yes, it's good to have Ravi with us. I'm very happy about that.
Okay, the market has different products in the temperature control, container solutions. Of course, there is passive as well as active. What are the shippers asking specifically on the passive container solutions?
First and foremost, they are probably asking to move their products in a safe way to secure the product integrity. And in the next step, maybe they ask for the one or the other technology, which we used to call active or passive. We call our solution and our technology the advanced passive because it is a strong setup of vacuum insulation panels and phase change materials that make up the boxes and containers. For the shippers, again, the most crucial and important thing is to bring the products to the recipients in the best possible condition, whether with the one or the other technology. But as we strongly believe, there are advantages of an advanced passive over an active solution within the Indian market and pharma vertical. You can easily move any of our solutions, also those on the pallet size, outside the airport premises. You can offer a door-to-door service. You can move it from a manufacturing site somewhere in the country in a non-temperature controlled vehicle to the airport. You can put it through security without having to open a container. You can fly to the destination and move it out of the destination airport and take it all the way to the receiver without having to open a container door, without having to unload the product, and therefore it's an unbroken temp chain. I think that is the beauty thing about it, That is what is appreciated by the customer. But I need to say also very clearly, there is good reasons for some lanes and some products to use an active solution. It's both in the market. We see a trend, though, towards the advanced passive solutions.
Yeah, I must admit that yesterday in one of the panel discussions, there was a farmer shipper who said that we are looking for door-to-door packaging, delivery, logistics solutions because their expertise lies in something else. Their expertise lies in producing, making medicines and healthcare products. To that extent, I believe that this is a good value proposition, and it's right that the active solution have its own marketplace as well. Let's come to the complexities of pharmaceutical, logistic, healthcare products. As we go ahead, we see pharmaceutical products are becoming much more complex. Most of them require highly complex logistic, temperature-controlled solutions. You have talking about personalized medicines. You're talking about cell and gene therapies. What would be some of your biggest challenges in terms of product innovations going forward, packaging solutions going forward?
I think there is a couple of challenges ahead. We'll continue to see a lot of bulk shipments that either are for very high value products that need very precise and very accurate packaging solutions. There is bulk also of some products that have a lower value where our packaging solutions may be over qualified or over expensive. And for this, we have to provide also alternatives. So we have to adjust for both the high value and the lower value products that are moved. And we may have to look into new product lines that are made to the purpose of the requirements in an Indian market or in other lower income markets. On the other hand, as you stated very rightly, there is the personalized medicine, there is the cell and gene therapy and other aspects coming up. We need to face it. And this is not only leading to the need for smaller sized packaging solutions, but it's also different temperature ranges. So while our standard portfolio so far was from somewhere body temperature all the way down to minus 80 degrees centigrade, whereas down to minus 50 we cover without dry ice. Only when it comes to the minus 70, minus 80 degrees, it's with dry ice. But now we're moving further down, looking at cell and gene therapy. This is why we have just introduced and launched earlier this year in another part of the world, not in India yet, a solution we call va-Q-tec, and that is a cryogenic solution. It secures the minus 150 degrees for a bare minimum of 20 days. We have solutions on hand. Let's see what of those we can make good use of in India.
The pharmaceutical products, they become complex and complex as we go ahead, which require a complex logistic solution. It also requires your containers made available as per the demand. What kind of service network that you have? Containers are available where the demand is.
I like the question because we've seen during the pandemic, and now that we hopefully slowly move out of the pandemic, that it is about one thing, and that is availability of equipment wherever you need it. The dots on the global map where a high-performance thermal packaging solution is needed, the number of dots is increasing. So how do you secure availability? You need to have a network. That is what we have as va-Q-tec. It's other players in the market who look into the same direction. I think we have a competitive edge there, having around about 40 temp chain service centers. That is our logistics centers, out of which we provide our packaging solutions, fully preconditioned, as we say, so set to the right temperature, ready to load and go for the customers. But it's not only that global footprint with our temp chain service centers, it's also the footprint of our subsidiaries that allow us to do local business in India, in Brazil, in China, and other places where we worked for many years. But on top of that, it needs strong collaboration and partnership with the airlines, with the freight forwarders, with logistics partners in general. It's them who make our boxes and containers move. We're not a logistics company. We think logistics. We live logistics, but it is others to physically move our containers and boxes. So it's a joint approach. It's a very strong joint approach of airlines, freight forwarders, integrators, and ourselves as a packaging solution provider to make the products available to all those who need it. Mainly pharma shippers looking into our existing business, but there are other verticals in need of temperature-controlled packaging solutions.
It's also the demand and supply, the availability of containers. You have production centers concentrated in certain markets, certain countries. The demand for those medicines are elsewhere. How complex is that to make containers available? How do you move the containers around?
See, that is one thing, the complexity of the network management or network balancing. It needs some smart guys and some smart IT tools to manage that. I don't want to overstress the buzzwords, but artificial intelligence helps us to do. So apart from the smart guys thinking that through, we do have support from the IT side and apply new systems and models to help us balance the containers and boxes in the most efficient way. It's also with the clear target to make that business sustainable. We want to try to have as less as possible of empty movements. We don't want to move empty boxes and containers around. But apart from that, let's say management of our global fleet and network, we need to also adjust to the ever ongoing changes in the industry. COVID-19 has shown that not only vaccines were developed in a record time of less than a year, what typically took 10 years before, but the network of production sites has changed. The pharmaceutical companies have decided to onboard a big number of contract manufacturing organizations. So production is more regionalized. Therefore, the temp chains, that's our word for, instead of cool chain or cold chain, we call it temp chain, temperature controlled supply chains. They change. They get more regional, and getting more regional makes us need to be more agile and flexible in providing the equipment in the respective region. So a couple of challenges we're facing, but I'm quite confident that we manage together in a collaborative approach with our logistics partners out there.
Okay, no conversation is complete without the S word, which is sustainability. And you already mentioned it. And earlier today, you were on my panel and we did talk about sustainability. Tell us about how critical is sustainability to the entire business model that you are building for va-Q-tec.
See, sustainability, as I mentioned during the panel discussion you just brought up, is really something that is of essence, and that is part of our DNA. And it's not just let's say, a marketing blah, blah. It's a real serious thing for us. It was one of the reasons va-Q-tec was founded as a spin-off from Würzburg University in 2001. That was to develop an insulation material that is thin and highly efficient to save energy consumption when applying to the building industry. We were far ahead of time. This business started only some less than 10 years ago, but since 20 years, we're into the thermal packaging, and it is our target to reduce the energy consumption wherever we apply such insulation materials in containers, in boxes, but also to insulate cold rooms, reefer containers, buildings, hot water storage tanks, or pipelines for domestic heating. It's all about saving energy. I stated before, we need to not only try to reduce the energy consumption, we need to try to just ideally not use any energy. So it's driving the business, our business and the industry's business. And my past is with automotive. And in the 1980s and 1990s, everyone was looking for quality. Quality was a sales argument, but at some stage, no one was asking for quality. Anyone took it for granted. Then you had the price or the cost pressure. So I believe today, for many, sustainability is just let's say, a nice word to use. Those will make their way faster than others who really live it, who act upon this vision to really be sustainable. It needs to be authentic. This sustainability needs to be authentic. And those who manage to apply this to their services, to their products, that is our case, to our products, that is then making difference to the friendly competitors. So I think that sustainability is not just a nice thing to have, it's a must-have. It's something that customers will definitely look more into. And I see a shift in our industry. Pharma shippers having their RFQs out for thermal packaging solutions. There are first big names out there who really and explicitly not only state, but show that they take decisions not only cost-driven, but down to the element of sustainability. And those who, like us, can prove and quantify the carbon footprint of their products do have a competitive advantage. So that's the road we move down.
Christopher, thank you so much. Appreciate joining us for this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Richie.